my name is Durgesh. I work for Cognizant. It's my pleasure to be a part of this discussion and get this opportunity to moderate, collect your thoughts on this topic of measuring ROI across your channels, multiple channels that we all have been using in our companies, trying to understand the ROI measurement around it, and in terms of what are your thought process, the importance of ROI, the impact of ROI, if anything needs to be changed in terms of how we have been all working from a omni-channel strategy perspective. So we'll do a deep dive discussion, understand everyone's point of view. But before we get started with the actual discussion, let's just take a minute for all of you to introduce yourself in terms of your name, your company, the type of domain that you are working in, and maybe very quickly, what channels is your business operating into, right? So I think that would be a good enough understanding that we'll get, in terms of what that discussion might look like. So we'll start with you, Saurabh.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Saurabh and working with Cast24 from past 2 years. And so like at Cast24, like in terms of channels, we use whatever channels that a customer would want. And let's say like if you talk about a couple of years back, we were using calls and emails only. But later we realized that these are not enough, and WhatsApp would be a convenient way of communication for our customers. Then we integrated WhatsApp into our systems for all kind of communications. So yeah, that's at Cast24, like our major communications happens around it, but once we start our journey of pitching or showing cars to the customers, that is particularly pre-delivery and comes into marketing segment. And once deal is done or a particular delivery is closed, then after that we take these channels to work for us as a communication partner for all the things that a customer should know. So yeah, that's pretty much.
So you're into a pre-owned vehicle business, or you are in a fresh vehicle business as well?
So at Cast24, we are into pre-owned vehicle business only.
Okay. Yeah. So pre-owned vehicle, WhatsApp is one of the channels. Phone must also be a channel. Yeah. Email would also be a channel. Mm-hmm. What is the most predominant two channels from your business perspective?
In recent days, it is first is WhatsApp, okay, and second is email and calls both, I would say.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Let's move on to Nikhil. Nikhil, you represent a tech company, a new age, disruptive model of education. Tell us in one line what your company does and what are the top two channels in your company.
So my name is Nikhil Chaudhary. I'm designated as a senior director in PhysicsWallah. And I had content at PhysicsWallah from end to end, from its production to its customer satisfaction. PhysicsWallah is predominantly an exam prep and a test prep organizations. Initially, we started off with NEET and JEE categories, but now we have expanded into various different government exams and approximately 14 other verticals. We are now moving next on to skills and also study abroad categories, where we are looking to explore more business opportunities. The most predominant channels that we use, WhatsApp is one of the key channels, Gmail being one of them. Also, we have a very dedicated customer support system, which is completely dedicated to our student satisfaction. In PW, we do not designate our students as customers, they are students. Yep. And we have a very predominant student success team is what we refer them to, and they are completely dedicated to our student satisfaction.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's go on to Unifor. Janita, so you have been talking to a lot of prospects in the India as well as maybe in the global markets as well. What have you seen in past 1 or 2 years? Has anything changed from a channels perspective? I remember a time 10 years ago when everyone was only focusing on voice. What has changed recently? Is it still voice? Is it something else? Tell us in line a little bit about your company, and so that everyone gets to know online, whoever is viewing it as well. Sure. And what has changed in very recent time in terms of the channels?
Sure, perfect. So I'm Janita. I head sales development for the Asia business, and like you rightly said, do speak to prospects on a daily basis. Although the assumption is voice still stays one of the primary channels. As much as we are, trying omni-channel, just be on this space, there are still there are generations of customers who are using it. There are demographics, there are geographies as well. So there are predominantly a lot of people who still expect service on voice, who still are looking for that human connection or looking for someone to hear them out, right? And you're in a crisis sort of a situation, you ideally do not want to go type a long email or send a WhatsApp message. You want someone to pick up and ask, hey, what happened, right? So that still continues to be predominantly one of the main channels, but as per the topic, Omni is everything today, whether it is Unifor primarily is a conversational AI and automation company, but we do use Omni AI is what we use right now, right? It could be generative AI, it could be knowledge AI, it could be emotion, tonal. So we use all of these aspects of AI to provide a better customer experience. So that's what Unifor does.
Sure, great now. Let's move on to Shashi. Shashi, you represent Dr. Lal Path Labs. Tell us in one line or two lines about what your company does so that everyone understands, and what are the top two channels in your organization.
Sure. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I head the customer experience and control tower for Dr. Lal Path Labs. We are the leading healthcare provider in India. We come with the experience of 70 years, where we are serving the customers in our diagnostic, which includes the blood testing and the radiology services as well. There are different type of customers. Those are reach out to us on our contact center or through our email communication. So the primary channel I'll say is still voice. Somewhere I was reading some article about it, close to 70 to 75% of the customers are still preferring reaching out via voice. However, the email communication and the bot communication is something which is picking up now in this industry. For us, the journey is same. Our top channel is voice, followed by a bot communication.
Bot as in web chat on the website, or what's that?
Mobile application and website, not on WhatsApp. WhatsApp is something which is very new for us. We have recently started.
Okay, so voice and bot on mobile app.
Yes.
If I can say that. All right, fair enough. Let's move on to Cashify. Varun represents Cashify. Tell us a little bit about your company and what channels.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. I'm working with Cashify, and Cashify is the leading player in the e-commerce industry, where we are in the process of buying the second-hand electronic appliances, with mobile phone being the highest contributor. But we have other applications as well, which includes air conditioner, laptops, AirPods, etc. So once we procure them, we further sell it out back to the end consumer or to the distributors. It's the same appliances. I'm heading the entire customer at Cashify, and we have all the available channels for customers to reach out to us: call, WhatsApp, chat. This chat is being developed on our application or on our website, and also we have emails as well. If I talk about the top where the customers prefer, right? That remains the call, followed by the in-house chat application.
In-house chat hosted on mobile app or website? So which ones do customers prefer more? The mobile app or the website?
Mobile app, I would say. Yeah.
Okay.
And predominantly MWeb version.
Okay, get it. All right. Sure, thank you. Let's move on to Hero FinCorp. Anamika represents Hero FinCorp, top 100 CX leaders in the country. Let's move on to you. Help us understand what your company does. What are the top two communication channels?
Thanks, Durgesh, for that introduction. So I'm Anamika, and I'm currently heading the customer experience for retail customers in Hero FinCorp. So we're into the lending industry, where we are offering a couple of loans to the customers, let's say two-wheeler loans or personal loans, And our target audience is not an urban customer primarily. It is more of a tier 2, tier 3, or let's say tier 4 customers, city customers. So who are not very well versed with the technology that we're talking about today. And our channels for operating this business is primarily voice. And we also have emails. We have walk-ins, which comes through our pan-India branches. We also have mobile apps, and of late we have also started operating with WhatsApp. but it's in a very, very limited state of use. We're just trying to try our hands at how much penetration do we get through this channel, because we want to go digital, full throttle. However, because the kind of users that we are serving, their preference still lies with voice, like Shashi mentioned or Janita mentioned, right? I think 70% of the users still have their affinity towards getting a resolution through a voice channel. They want to hear a human voice for interaction. So no matter how much IVR gets automated or what kind of solutioning you're providing through the IVR, they will still want to reconfirm by getting connected to a human voice. We also have emails. So we do have a segment of customers who write emails to us, and they do wait for the turnaround time and getting the resolution within that stipulated time. But it's actually quite surprising for us to view that the target audience that we are serving, they are actually receiving, or let's say quite receptive towards WhatsApp, which has been recently introduced, because although, let's say if we would have 100 kind of query distributions, approximately, let's say, right? So if we have given very limited segment of queries which can be served through WhatsApp, let's say just 10 of them, even for those, we do see a good kind of penetration coming from the users, which means that the acceptance for a WhatsApp as a channel has actually increased. So the device is just in their hand. So if they need any kind of resolutioning, right? So they just want to do a tuck and get a resolution, at least a response. So it is quite surprising, and I think it is quite encouraging also to see the trend of this kind of, because urban customers are very well versed with WhatsApp and mobile app, but tier 3, tier 4 kind of customers are not. But that's what's happening right now.
Sure. Fair enough. So I think one common theme that I derived out of this discussion so far, from an introduction perspective, is voice still remains the primary mode, right? No matter we keep talking about the future, humanless, automation, AI, generative AI, whatever it may be, but as a customer, in a crisis situation, you would definitely need a human. But in a normal situation also, the customer doesn't want to navigate through a technology which is not easy to navigate to, and hence a human becomes more important, right? Imagine we all would have been doing the same discussion right now on phone, the experience that we would have had in that particular scenario versus doing this face-to-face discussion. It makes a hell lot of difference from an experience perspective. And technically speaking, customers interacting with the brand is nothing but an experience share that you do as a brand to a customer. And it's just the experience, right? I mean, personally, I don't know, would you define sales? For me, sales is giving good experience to your prospects again and again and again and again and again until a purchase order comes in. That's sales for me, nothing else, right? It's nothing else. So similarly, when brand is talking to a customer, the experience is more important than anything else. So let's start with the first question. We'll start with you, Saurabh. तो हम लोगों ने बहुत सुन लिया कि चैनल्स तो बहुत सारे हैं. आपके Cars 24 में, if you want to take an example of your own company or your industry as well, absolutely okay. Or you can talk about the future for your industry, whatever comes to your mind. How do you think कि ROI measure कैसे होना चाहिए for different channels that you have? There is no, I mean, channels हम सबके सब use करते हैं, but ROI I'm sure strategy नहीं होगी बहुत सारी companies के पास. So the intention is to understand how does Cars 24 do it, or how should Cars 24 or someone in that particular industry, in that business, do it in future. What would your thoughts be?
So in terms of ROI, it basically reflects down to the key performance indicator or key metrics that we should track to judge whatever investments or whatever things that we are doing in day to day. Is it worth to provide us the desired results? So it all goes down to customer satisfaction and NPS or whatever term we would like to use. So CSAT is basically the core parameter for all of us at Cars 24. And because we know, we understand that it is a barometer of customer contentment, and whatever things we do, let's say if we few months back we started thinking about clubbing all the online channels like social media and all the offline channels, which I say like emails or maybe internal leadership escalations, everything. So we started to think about clubbing all these channels together so that I can understand as a customer grievances manager to that from what all other channels a customer is coming, and what is the current level of discontentment. And so all these are parameters that we need to club together. So
give us an example. Let's say for example, मुझे एक second hand गाड़ी खरीदनी है. I come to your platform. I interact first on an email, first on your website. 10 days later, I interact with someone on phone. 20 days later, I write an email. 1 month later, I visit someone and see face to face. So I navigate through a lot of channels, right? Now, I say I am satisfied. My customer satisfaction index is 10 on 10, right? That's one example. Second example, my customer satisfaction index is whatever, 4 on 10, right?
Yeah.
How would you measure what went wrong in these channels? Because I interacted with multiple channels, right? Like, what is your improvement area there? Or let's say if I'm giving 10 on 10, are you assigning that 10 on 10 to your phone channel or to your walk-in channel because there was a face-to-face interaction? Like, tell us, what do you think in terms of assigning that score across those channels that customer may have interacted?
So assigning those scores to channels, I think that is like we don't agree with, because we generally go what was the issue. Because in our segment, issue आता है like my car खराब हो गई like चलते चलते. That's
after
the
a customer has purchased.
After a customer has purchased.
Okay.
Before that, a customer comes like my test drive slot was not adhered. These kind of things, or like there was a misbehavior, or there is a kind of thing that a customer didn't like, or so all these kind of issues are the core things where we get ratings from the ground customers. So assigning ratings to the channels doesn't go with us. We assign these ratings direct to the issues. कि किस issue पे हमको ज़्यादा like we are seeing more customer pain on these kind of issues. So let's say a particular issue is getting more dislikes. So that is the thing that we need to work on.
I see.
So the channel can be anything, but at the end we need to solve the problem, the
Sure.
core problem basically. So
Yeah.
that's how we work.
So I'm assuming, depending on the example that you picked up, I'm assuming if someone has interacted with Cars24 and not bought a car, he would have lesser number of issues or touch points with your company. But once he has become your customers, then he would need a lot more. Then he would have a little bit more extra touch points.
Right.
Car खराब हो गई या मुझे service चाहिए या whatever those reasons would be, right?
Right.
So let's say if someone has purchased a car, then what can be the top 2 reasons in your heat map which are today generating an ROI that you would want to improve on? What is your improvement pointers?
So after once we are done with the sales part, there are 2 major issues. First one is related to the car quality or warranty, and second one is related to the RC transfer, which is a pain across the India, because that is pretty much a government-driven process.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of heat on these 2 issues, and so if I talk about in terms of channels, like for car quality or something, it is something very critical.
Yeah.
Because a car can stop at any point of time, or car maybe start heating on the road. So at that point of time, we cannot ask customer, or we cannot connect customer through a WhatsApp, because there is a like lag, and a customer, the frustration level is very high, if I put in that one. So वहाँ पे customer wants to connect with a person who can understand the issue and assign, or whatever help is required, the person can provide instantly. So in this particular part, our primary channel is voice, because that is what a customer would want.
Yeah.
And So in terms of like if I divide it into just two parts, all the outbound communications are through WhatsApp and all the inbound communications are primarily through voice or emails.
Get it. Which means you very well understand today that अगर कस्टमर 20 इश्यूज की वजह से कॉल कर रहा है तो ये जो टॉप आरसी ट्रांसफर हो गया, कार क्वालिटी हो गया, ये इश्यूज पे अगर ज्यादा फोकस किया जाए, इमीडिएट फोकस किया जाए और डिफरेंट स्ट्रैटेजी अगर बिल्ड की जाए फॉर दोज स्पेसिफिक इश्यूज, you will directly see an impact on your CSAT score, NPS score, and that becomes your way to improve your ROI, depending on the data, the type of issues you are getting from your customers.
Right. So if I put it in numbers, currently we get around 8 to 10% detractors in our customer journey. Out of 8 to 10% detractors, if I put it in waterfall, around 5% is car quality, and the rest 2.5% is RC related things, and the rest 0.51% is everything. So these two things are very core that we are trying to solve at Cast24. One is in our control, which is quality and warranty, and second one is not in our control. We are solving it through communications or expectation building. That's it.
I think my key takeaway or my learning from whatever interaction that we both have had is, if you have 20 problems to solve, don't solve those 20 problems. Identify 2 or 3 problems that will give you a better ROI, measurable ROI, immediate ROI. That can keep you going, right? So I think that's my key takeaway, my learning out of our interaction. Let's move on to you, Anamika. So you work in a lending business, your company. What I want to understand from you is how Saurabh spoke about some things that are measurable. Let's understand from you things that are not measurable. So let's say, for example, if there are 2 customers coming in, giving you 10 on 10 rating, which means you have good enough rating. Whatever you do for those 2 customers from here on would not improve your rating, because the maximum score already you have got it. So whatever you do will not get measured, will not improve any of your metrics that you are monitoring. But still, it will help you develop that relationship with your customers, that these customers can bring in 10 more customers to you. You will still not be able to measure who are they going and speaking. These are all non-measurable stuff. How do you like, what is the focus area? Once you have set the things that you can measure, how do you just completely, like, it's not recommended that you completely ignore the non-measurable things. So technically you have to find the right balance between what you can measure and you will continue to do that, and what you cannot measure but you will still continue to do that. How do you think about this in your type of business, for your company or for industry, or maybe let's say 5 years down the line, you would wish this is how your industry, the way operates, and any thoughts that you wish to share?
Right. So Durgesh, I'll start from giving a little bit of background to why we are talking about omni-channel platform in this discussion, and what value add will it give us as business. So omni-channel platform, as we all understand, it offers a unified platform to the end users who are our customers, because we want to bring all the channels that we are offering to the customers under the same roof. We're just trying to create a seamless experience for our customers, so that whenever he interacts through any of the channels, whether it is voice, whether it is email, whether it is a branch walk-in or a mobile app, he gets the same kind of experiences, across all the channels. So it's like a good morning being said across all the channels in the same way, right? Okay, and why we are trying to do that? Because we are trying to create an experience by creating a long-term relationship with the customer. When I talk about relationship, it is more like a friendship, right? So friendship, like me and Janita are friends. We don't have to talk to each other on a daily basis, but let's say even after a month, if we meet, if we interact with each other, we start from exactly where we left. So when the customer comes to me on my platform, just to give you reiterate the same example that you gave, that you come to Cars24 through voice, and after 10 days you write an email, and after 15 days you also meet somebody. So, are you getting the same kind of experience, or is the agent or is the representative of the organization able to carry on the discussion from the previous point where the customer left at? Because in our industry, let's say in lending industry, a customer might come to me initially just to ask me that what is the EMI that I need to pay. At one point of time, his query was just about this. After 10 days, he might just say that I need some additional time to repay my EMI because there is some financial stress that he's facing. So the type of query changed, but the conversation is coming from the same customer. So the person who's handling this customer should have a trail, should have a history or background that, okay, he has been a regular customer all throughout for, let's say, 5 years. He has been repaying on time. And this is the first instance because he would be a genuine customer, right? And we don't have to treat him from the eyes of defaulting. He has been a regular customer with me for the last 5 years, and if he is asking for a moratorium period or some time period, I would have to speak to him in a very different tone or very different language, right? And if I talk about measuring this ROI in a short-term manner, I think we all must have heard about this term called CLTV, Customer Lifetime Value. So that's not exactly a parameter that gets measured by the customer experience team. Just to answer your question, tangible, non-tangible, and something measurable. So if customers are coming to me, let's say 5 customers giving me rating of 10 on 10, that means I'm doing a decent job. But how do I translate it into a better ROI? So by virtue of getting a good rating, if I'm able to get my CLTV at a very high percentage, I exactly don't know how the marketing team would be measuring it, but that means customer stickiness. Because of my experience that I created for the customer, if he is constantly coming to my platform for something or the other, today he took a personal loan, tomorrow he might require a used car loan. After 6 months, he might also require a 2-wheeler loan. But why is he only coming to my platform? There are plethora of other service providers in the industry. Because the experience that I'm trying to generate for him is the differentiator over here. So if the CLTV goes very high, which is being tracked by the marketing team, it will get translated into a better customer experience and a very high ROI. So I would not be facing this challenge of convincing my management that, okay, if you invest into this omni-channel platform, at the end of the day, it will be giving you more business and more revenue. This is how you will be tracking it. And it is all correlational. So I'll have to work with product while mapping of the journey is being done. I'll have to work parallelly with marketing so that I track these parameters and I understand, because CSAT and NPS is something which I track as experience leader. But marketing team would have a lot of other tools. There are plethora of data which is available, Durgesh, right? What is the customer coming for? What is the type of interactions that he is doing? What is the kind of purchases that he is doing? How many times is he interacting on my platform? What kind of handset is he using? Very important, very small, but very important information for me to gather. Why? Because there are multiple mobile updates that we keep on launching. The tech team works on it. If there are higher user base of, let's say, iOS users, if I track the handset that the user is using, so I might also think that I also have to launch this update in iOS version, not just only in Android. So I've also extended this to the remaining population of my audience or my customers, right? So all of these things go hand in hand. The product will come into picture, the marketing team will come into picture. Of course, the experience team is there, but if it is not in a collaborative manner, then as an organization, I would not be able to create that experience that we are talking about over here. It cannot work in silos.
Yeah.
And all of these platforms, all of these trainings and strategies will fall apart if this collaborative work doesn't happen in a top-down approach.
Yeah.
So my management will have to integrate this as a value system to the entire organization, that customer experience is one of the core values which we have to practice on a daily basis, right? Customer experience team cannot be just considered as that, okay, somebody comes to me with a concern and you resolve the concern.
Yeah.
While I'm trying to onboard the customer.
That's a customer service.
That is
not
customer service.
Yeah.
And we're trying to create an experience, give him a total experience. We want to give him an experience whenever he's coming to a branch walk-in, that I don't make him wait. I don't allow the customer to get irate, because I'm also serving the customers through branch walk-ins. right? And just imagine if there is one customer who's shouting and yelling, that creates a ripple effect among all the other customers, right? There might be 10 customers. We see that often happening in the branches, right? So it has to be dealt in a very, very sensitive manner, and the strategy has to be around this data and usage of this data. Only then the experience can be created, and this channel that we're talking about will come into picture.
Yeah, you spoke about two keywords that I want to pick it up. One, you spoke about silos, working in silos, and second, you spoke about strategy.
Yes.
Just a quick survey. We'll start with you and then we'll do a survey.
Sure.
Do you think today organizations do not have omni-channel strategies at all, and these are working in silos, no matter whatever organization these are? It may be any organization without naming any particular vertical, because talking about all the industries in general, my experience has been someone who is handling marketing takes care of social media inquiries coming in on Twitter, whereas contact center companies already have a tool and they are talking to different set of people for IVR, different set of people for handling the Twitter accounts and communication over there, different set of people to handle the email and things like that. Within these clientele, within these organizations, who is tracking that my brand is giving the consistent, unique experience to customers across channels? So just a quick yes or no, or let's do a rating out of 10 so that we get to understand the real thoughts that are running in your mind. Let's say a statement is organizations do not have a omni-channel strategy today. How much do you agree with it? 10 being you completely agree, 1 means you completely disagree, and anything number in between would be, it's something that I want to know. The question is, they do not have it. How much do you agree? 10 means you agree.
I'll just add 2 lines, not exactly by numbering or giving a score. 8 out of 10 organizations have omni-channel platforms in today's edge or ecosystem, okay? But I would say 8 out of 10 organizations don't have the right kind of strategy to put in place, which actually leverages the potential of this omni-channel platform.
Sure. So 8 out of 10, let's do a numbering the other way, the way you started. 8 out of 10 organizations do not have a strategy.
Do not have a strategy, but they have the platform.
Yeah, platforms, yeah.
So it's
They
just
do not
a
have
fad.
a strategy.
It's just a
Yeah.
fad which the
How about
organization
you?
goes with.
How many organizations out of 10 do not have a strategy, according to you?
I think 8 to 9 definitely.
8 to 9. How about you, Shashi?
Had it been 3-4 years back, I would have given a different number. In last 3-4 years, what we have seen is MarTech CRM has come up. And a lot of involvement with the marketing team and the contact center and customer experience team is there. So I think this number will be 4-5, where the organization are not having the right strategy, but they have the platform.
They have the platforms, not the right. How about you?
I would like to go with the Shashi's number, and I see since platform is there, but 4-5 out of 10, 4-5 companies are only there which are not following right strategy. Rest companies are trying to follow, or maybe in some chunk they are following already.
Yeah. How about you, Nikhil?
I also think that around 8 companies do have it, but again the right strategy is missing. Like for in the case of our company as well, we do have a dedicated omni-channel, but again we are specifically missing out certain touch points which are not included in those omni-channels, because of that the customer experiences are decreasing in certain cases.
Get it. How about you, Janita?
I'd like to give a different answer, right? So
Sure.
10 out of 10 companies want to have the strategy, right? All of them now globally do want to have the strategy. Like most of you said, around 8 to 9 have the platform but do not have the strategy.
Yeah.
But I still think there's a 50% who are trying really hard to get the strategy in place.
Yeah.
And I do see, I can give you an example, right? I don't want to call the name out, but there is an omni-channel retail jewelry brand in India. I had the pleasure of working with them earlier when omni-channel was a very new fad term, right? So I used to work for a company where they had a customer experience journey mapping when all of this was, say, 5 years back. they were already on top of it 5 years back, right? And whether you walk into the store, whether you WhatsApp them, whether you call them, the service is same, and it's not a top-down thing. So a customer service rep at the store would patiently show you, like from South of India, gold, buying gold is really big, right? So in the conservative general stores, you go in, they are eyeing you, like, is this person gonna buy or not? When you are close to the sale is when they offer you refreshments or coffee or tea, right? This is a general experience we've had growing up. This store, even when you say upfront, hey, I'm just looking at it, I'm not looking to buy, they still do everything to make sure you are interested in the purchase. You bring in a kid, they have a branded coloring pad, notebooks to keep the kids busy, right? So this is an experience which is consistent among all channels. At the end of the day, you do not want to go to the conservative stores anymore. You, at some point, you really care that, hey, they've done so many things. Next time I want to buy, I go there. And very interestingly, a customer service rep said, it has been told by our management that it doesn't matter if you buy now or not. We need to give you the experience, so whenever you want to buy, you come back. So,
absolutely.
Brands are already on it, right? It's just a matter of time before the 5 becomes 10.
Yeah, absolutely. That reminds me of a very important conversation that changed my life a few years ago. I was not in sales, and I was called for an interview at a company for a different position, similar to what I have been doing in past. And this person during the interview said, do you want to get into sales in my same company? I'm like, no, I mean, I'm not in sales. I did not show up for a sales interview. Why do you want me to be in sales? And that's that's the type of a conversation we were having, whatever. Within 20 minutes of that conversation about learning about sales from him, he told me an important lesson, which you just iterated, which is, till the time the customer literally says no, it doesn't mean a no. You can always sell a customer something today, try to sell a customer something today. If he's not interested, that just means he's not interested today. You can still give a good experience to him, come back, and just define your strategy of approaching a customer 6 months down the line, 1 year down the line, every single day, every once in a week, or never approaching a customer, because I have given him such a good experience that if he comes back, I will charge 20% extra because he is coming to me, I'm not going to him. And that is my strategy. Whatever strategy you define, that's okay. But it is never a no until he says, do not call me back ever again, or do not show up. It may just be about a timing. It may be a wrong timing that you have approached and things like that. So having a strategy, of course, I feel it's extremely important. Every one of us feels people have multiple channels. We all agree on that. We have a consensus on that. And how do we get to that strategy, or why is the answer today 8 companies do not have a strategy, or good amount of companies do not have a strategy? So we'll ask this question from you, Nikhil. What are the challenges do you foresee जिसकी वजह से वो strategy करना सब चाहते हैं पर कर कोई नहीं पा रहा है? मतलब why is it, मतलब इतना ही मुश्किल क्यों हो रहा है? किस लिए हो रहा है? क्यों हो रहा है? और आपके अगर एडटेक की बात करें, अगर आपके एडटेक में इंडस्ट्री की बात करूंगा मैं, not about your company, because the type of question I'm asking, the thought process that I want from you would not come in if I restrict you with your company, right? We are talking about challenges. So let's take the challenges for the entire industry and see what is preventing the entire industry to have that strategy of a omni-channel. Why is there a confusion between multi-channel and omni-channel? How difficult does it become for companies with larger set of customers versus smaller set of customers? Smaller set of customers, say for example, you get into a jewelry shop, you get that experience. Those type of companies with limited manpower can possibly think of having a strategy. Maybe, I don't know, even they are struggling, but even if they can at least think of it. The larger the company becomes, does it becomes more and more challenging? or is it still the same if you have the right leader involved? I don't know. What are your thought process? Keeping the industry in focus, not your company.
The major problems in our industry, since the edtech has boomed a lot in the recent years with the with the internet booming, so a lot of people have gone into online educational platforms. So the major challenge that we face is that somewhere I feel that the tech is not developed in such a manner that the data integration part can be done in such a way that the entire all those touch point data where the student where the student interacts with the platform is consolidated into a single place, and from there a standard experience can be given to all the different users that we have. First thing. Second thing I also believe is that since we have so many different platforms through where specifically in our industry the students interact, no amount of people or the leaders cannot specify the KPIs on which they have to determine on which whether the student is satisfied or not satisfied. For example, specifically in our case, a lot of people have mentioned that their basic channels are WhatsApp or Gmails. One of our basic channels is YouTube. We in our PW, we have our founder has over 10 million subscriber base, and there is lakhs and lakhs of comments on a daily basis. And for students, this is one of the primary touch points from where they are interacting with us.
Yep.
How do you automate that? How do you get those touch points into a centralized system, and so that the student experience can be standardized in their manner? So these are some of the challenges that we face, and again the data structure is also for the data integration to happen, the data structure across all the different platforms should be in a similar manner. Only then you can integrate the data into a common platform and enhance that experience. So these are one of few of the basic challenges. What we are trying to first of all do is that and most of the edtech companies, and I guess more in other industries as well, first of all, we have in our organization, we have defined a single leader and a single team who will be responsible for our experiences of our students across all the different platforms. Whether we are doing through YouTube, we have a large set of students who are interacting through us on a live lectures, live batches. And for just to give you a rough number, we have a batch for NEET droppers where approximately 4 lakh students are registered. So you can estimate the quantum of how many students ask doubt on a daily basis and how many students interact with us on a daily basis. So first of all, what we are trying to do, we are defining a single leader, and all the different queries that are coming from our students, we are trying to consolidate that into a single platform. And for example, I'll say one of the other problems is that the interaction of a student is not just limited to pre-purchase, inquiring before. Most of our queries for a doubt or the students comes after post-purchase, because class में doubt है, बच्चा कोई लेक्चर ले रहा है, लेक्चर के अंदर उसको कुछ पर्टिकुलर चीज नहीं समझ आ रही, he'll continuously ping you up. Yeah, I'm not getting this. This is also a very crucial part for us when it comes to our student experience, because we have to get their queries resolved, because in an offline segment, he can raise his hand, he can ask his doubt easily, very easily. Yeah. But in an online sector, how do you solve that problem? बच्चा पढ़ते पढ़ते कुछ query आ रहा है. There are approximately 1 lakh students, who are studying live simultaneously. उसमें बच्चे को डाउट आ रहा है, तो आप कैसे उस चीज को पर्टिकुलरली सॉल्व कर रहे हो? So for that, what we have done is that first of all, a huge amount of manpower is of course required, that we have deployed. But again, we have kept the ROI completely in mind, and that is the result because of which our organization is one of the only edtechs which is profitable in today's scenario. And we are doing a good amount of profit, and because of that, we are able to expand. So we are deploying good manpower into these particular sessions, and we have deployed a single leader who will be responsible for that. And again, we are investing a heavy amount on tech, because we have to build that infrastructure on the back end, so that all these data points are managed and consolidated into a single place.
Yeah.
So that
great point. I think आपने जो point बोला single leader का, that is the the most important point today. I think you cannot have a unified omni-channel strategy with like 5% view on it, right? I mean, forget about a bigger brand strategy. एक छोटे से प्रोजेक्ट में 5 लोगों को अगर लीडर बोल दिया जाए तो वही आपस में लड़ते रहेंगे. They will never be able to come up with a unified, agreeable approach, right? Because a lot of our approaches are not data driven; they are opinion driven. अगर कोई पर्सन A कुछ बात बोले तो उस पर तालियां बजती हैं, पर्सन B कुछ बात बोले तो उस पर गालियां मिलती हैं. Because बात सेम है, but वो पर्सन A ने बोली है, पर्सन A का designation, and that's why, right? I mean, if you have a single leader, what happens is the vision becomes one. And I think, I don't know, Sam Altman, right, founder of OpenAI, was once in an interview saying, I don't want the best of the people. I can work with normal people also. But the vision should be one. If there is one vision, normal people are also okay for me, right? Otherwise, the best of the people will come in, and if they are not aligning to my vision, then the company will get into 5 different directions, which will be a bad stuff for me. Alibaba's founder says that it is good to, once you progress on the top, and you have to, the worst thing for that particular person is not to run a company, but to ensure that 5 leaders under him are able to talk to each other, because everyone has a different vision. And he, as a founder of a company, he as someone who cannot do much on an execution side, he has to ensure that people who are leading the execution, the business, are able to gel along well with each other, and all these fights that are there, political, strategical, does not hinder the vision and the growth of the company. So, आज की डेट में,
to add one thing to your point, when you talk about strategy and vision and alignment of all the units and the leaders, I think it's a very strong call out to all the organizations, especially the startups, who want to hire people into their teams, and they have this typical mindset of having people from the top B schools, right? It is a very, very, I think, stereotype kind of a mindset. So I've worked in a couple of startups, and I always used to say that I am neither an IIT nor an MDI or an IIM. I'm a simple graduate, but I bring along that kind of experience which has a vision, and I can take your department to a new height, And that has been my USP, and that by virtue of that, I've achieved whatever I've achieved. But because this mindset, is very stereotyped, that I want a certain B school pass out only. So what happens, that creates a lot of tiff, that creates a lot of clashes, and I have witnessed that when I was part of the leadership team in one of my previous organizations. All the IITs and MDIs and IIMs, they were all department heads, and I was a simple graduate, and they used to fight because nobody was ready to get aligned to the organization's vision. Everybody on the table thinks that, okay, I am bringing that value, and I am bringing that value because of my certain pedigree. See, I think as leaders, why I'm talking about this and bringing out this topic, because as leaders, we are also hiring, right? Especially organizations like Cast24, Physics Wala, or let's say Cashify, which are startups. So we also try to hire people in our downstream lines. So we have to be very cognizant of the fact that we hire people with a certain intellect, not just with a pedigree of educational background. Right? Because we need people who can get aligned to the organization's vision and not just create to drive his or her own vision. That creates a lot of tiff. That has happened in the past, which I've witnessed, and that actually takes away a lot of synergy for the leader who's trying to visualize something and take the company or the organization or the department ahead, right? So this is a different call out that I'm trying to make. Why? Because when we're discussing so much of strategy, where will the strategy come from? From these leaders. And leaders don't just bring pedigree, they also need to bring in experience. Yes, if you just say that, okay, I want to get somebody with a very fresh mind, fresh pass out from a B school, makes sense, because he's bringing a certain pedigree with him. But when you need some seasoned leader, with a 10 years or a 15 years experience to bring on that strategy. At that point of time, I think pedigree can be ignored and should be ignored because he has actually gained that trust and built that value proposition for himself or herself, right? That is very, very important. Only then the things will come on the table and get mitigated. Otherwise, there would be different tips and tussles.
Yeah, absolutely. And all these tips and tussles should be avoided at all cost, which people do not realize today. They want the best person in the world for marketing to head their marketing department, the best person in sales to come and join their organization at a 20, whatever, 200% hike and head the sales.
By virtue of this,
it may not be good for the
organizations unnecessarily burn money towards getting these kind of people onboarded, and when they need to invest in platforms like Omni-channel platform or some tool through which they can actually measure the ROI for the organizational growth, they're missing out on this part. When you talk about strategy, this is one of the key strategy which organizations must think about. That where do I need to invest? Do I need to invest in only the IITs who build my tech structure? Right? Or I can also have a mediocre kind of setup. Let's say tier A, tier B, tier C kind of a college for engineering, but with very great grades.
Exactly.
So that will make a mix of people with whom you can work and create a great tech team, I would say. That's just a suggestion. I'm speaking.
No, absolutely, it makes sense.
We are all leaders and part of the strategy, so I think we can go back and in some way or the other contribute to conversations like
So just adding to what you just spoke about, what I usually do, what I've learned from my experience so far, I usually do a beer test. It's a very simple test. Now imagine, let's say I'm hiring you, right? I've gone through your CV, I've seen you have expertise and everything, but I want to be in that state where I can have a sip of beer with you post office hours. If I can do that with you, you're most welcome, and I can actually work with you, and we can't have those stiffs and those resistance that we usually see. I think that.
So I'll tell you an
works.
example of this, my personal life, right? I moved to US for my masters. 1 साल का masters था at Georgia State University, Master of Science in Information Systems. कहने को US में बहुत diversity है, but if you are traveling to US for an IT specific program, there is no diversity. It's all Indian and Chinese. 80% of the class is Indian and Chinese, and the diversity is represented in those 20%, and that's about it. That's what the real fact is. So for the first 6 months of the program, I was staying in an apartment, or even the entire lane, where again everyone was Indian. इंडियन एक सीनियर बैच का होगा, रेफरल मिलता है, तो जितने और नेक्स्ट बैच में इंडियंस आ रहे हैं, एवरीवन विल गेट दिस सीनियर विल गेट ऑल ऑफ देम एंड से मेरे अपार्टमेंट में रहो, मैं रेफरल करता हूँ, आई विल गेट सम मनी. सो दैट्स हाउ द क्राउड गेट्स एक्यूमुलेटेड एट वन प्लेस. तो मैं जिनके साथ रह रहा था वो इंडियंस थे. हम लोगों के पास एवरीवन travels on US on a bank loan, so everyone has limited budgets. So when you go out to a restaurant, you don't experiment with food. Because US में you end up seeing that menu and you like, this is the first time and I can't even read the menu, forget about ordering a stuff, right? I mean, I can, but I don't want to waste my money ordering something which I don't know how it will taste. So let's just go with let's just go with something that we know. Chal dal makhani, and all that. I was traveling to see Indian movies in the first 6 months of my masters, right? With the Indian people. My department chairperson was an Indian. आधे से ज़्यादा मेरा जिंदगी हिंदी में चल रही थी और मेरी जिंदगी मस्त चल रही थी. And that's when the internships season started. And that's when I realized that all these companies in US, most of it, actually call you for a lunch interview. It has never, I had never ever experienced something like this in India. And that made me so much worried, because I had no idea how to speak confidently to someone while holding a fork in knife. I had never done this in my life. I actually ended up hiring someone, paying $200 to this person to come and have a salad with me, teach me fork and knife, help me prepare, help me develop that confidence, so that because of my eating skills, I can possibly get a job or an internship when I go out and look for a job. And that, that worked for me like magic. Because now when I go and I sit with someone, and I feel, I can judge the person in and out just by the way he's talking to me while he's eating, right? His confidence, his everything. He may not be talking to me about his past experience or what value he can bring to my team, my product, my company, but you can get that confidence, right? You can get a feeling, मैं इसको train कर सकता हूँ कि ये train नहीं होगा. You know how much resistant he is, or how much flexibility he has, what innovation he can bring on the table. But do I need innovation? If yes, then it makes sense. If no, then I don't need all this innovation because it will not be a good fit for him. You know, he might just get bored and might just end up not aligning to my vision, whatever, right? So I think the beer test that you spoke about, according to me, that makes a perfect sense because it made perfect sense for me a couple of years ago. And yeah, I think it should there should be like a industry government partnership, and there should be like a compulsory policy coming in from the government saying her company ko kuch na kuch breakfast test, lunch test, beer test, whatever dinner test, kuch na kuch karna zaruri hai, just so that you don't end up hiring the people with the brands like IIT and IIMs, and then 6 months down the line, firing the same set of people for not being contributing based on the vision of the company and all that stuff, right? All right, so we'll turn the tables from challenges to the data part of it, right? How Nikhil mentioned कि tech develop नहीं है अभी इतना कि वो challenges को mitigate कर पाए, right? I mean, I'm sure there is a lot of efforts being put into that direction. But still, if companies like PhysicsWala is saying कि tech develop नहीं है, that means पैसा बहुत है. And if a company that has a lot of money says कि tech develop नहीं है अभी, that means there may be some reason for it. There may be some value to it, right? Not discussing about why you said that, but since you brought that particular topic, tech develop nahi hai from an omni-channel perspective, right? Yes. I mean, you go and get into WhatsApp, you use WhatsApp and you interview 100 people or survey 100 people, how is your experience? कोई ये नहीं बोलेगा WhatsApp में ये कमी है, वो कमी है. You get what I mean? Like if the tech is so easy, everyone will say बहुत ही बढ़िया है, मेरे लिए काम करता है, it works well. But if the tech is not perfect, then you go and ask 100 people, हर एक का अपना ओपिनियन होगा, उनके पास पैसे हैं लेकिन वो लेजी हैं क्योंकि वो टेक कंपनीज नहीं है. They will not do tech. They will not build a WhatsApp, right? They will not build a WhatsApp for themselves, these companies, right? Which means that people want ready-made stuff themselves, right? And when the tech comes in, now shifting gear from strategy.
LOBs right now. One is where we buy the phone, and second is where we sell it off back to the customer.
Yeah.
Now this customer can be same or can be a different customer, right? I have that capability right now where I know what is the journey of this customer across these two different LOBs that we have.
Yeah.
But what I'm doing with that is, we are seeing the history and everything, but I would want to be in that state where, with the help of generative AI, right, I'm able to figure out and predict what's next for this guy. Whether this customer is again coming back to me after X months because he has taken a phone from me, because he has sold it off to me, or maybe he has purchased it from offline someplace else. What time will he be coming back to me? Rather than just going back to him and asking, "Kya देखिए Cashify भी exist करता है, and maybe you can sell it off your phone to me." But I don't think that is more of a reactive approach.
Yeah.
It should be more of a predictive approach where we know this set of customers will be coming to me after a certain point of time.
Yeah.
Those generative capabilities is something we are missing right now.
Yes. So more about the AI, generative AI,
Yes.
emerging technology that can boost your business.
And also, let's say if I'm interacting with you, let's say over a chat or WhatsApp, right? Now this generative AI should tell me, this is what you should tell, because I have seen last 6 months or 6 years की interaction था वहाँ पे ऐसा कुछ हुआ था. Basis that this is something which should be spoken about, or we should have a conversation about.
Yeah.
I think that is something should be there and is missing on right now.
Sure, fair enough. Thank you so much. Let's move on to Shashi. What do you think are top 2 or 3 technologies in the tech space, in the emerging tech space of the future? 5 years from now, 10 years from now, these techs are not ready yet. Let's assume that. 5 years from now, how would you want your brand experience to be when the customers come in? Do you want them to be getting into a metaverse space? Is that what would excite you personally? Or maybe, voice cloned of celebrities, or a digital platform with a lot of generative AI capabilities that tells you very proactively, or maybe tells your agent what to speak depending on what the customer is the way the customer is interacting, the way the customer's journey has been across multiple touch points, and how to address that query. So let's understand from you the top 2 emerging technologies in your mind, and then we'll deep dive. So what would be your top 2 emerging technologies? And then we'll also check with you, Janita. Just the technology's name would be fine.
Sure. So I think very important point which Varun has taken up is about the CDP. In case we have the customer data platform available, then our multi-channel turns from a multi-channel to an omni-channel.
Yeah.
Because then that's when you provide the actual experience to a customer. So this CDP is something which is now picking up. Most of the organizations are moving towards it.
Yeah.
Barring some legacy kind of system or silos which we talked about.
Yeah.
In case somebody has developed the application in silos, that data is still there. Otherwise, it is migrated to CDP. Now from the CDP, what we can do is, we can generate a lot of information for a customer. I can create a cohort of a customer. For example, in healthcare, 65 plus customer is calling upon a voice. So their preferred communication channel is voice.
Yeah.
However, they are dropping off at the time of IVR selection. They are not well versed with it. Now this data will give me insight that if somebody who is 65 plus is calling on IVR, I should remove the IVR then and there and give a direct access of my associate. At the same time, where I'm increasing the load for my human interaction, somebody who is 30 plus and is preferring to chat, and that person is calling me on IVR, I can give this option for the faster resolution. Please use the link of a WhatsApp chat or a chat bot, and immediately I send that link to that person.
Yeah.
Now I'm transferring the volume of 30 plus to a automatic kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So that's one technology which I foresee that should come in the market. Then the second is the digital contact center. How can I mimic the general queries which associate is solving for? Giving a basic information about a location. What is the nearest Dr. Lal Pathlab center? I can check the information based on the pin code or in case the location has been provided by the customer, I can check the information and give the list of it. I can also provide the option in GMB that you can chat with my associate then and there. I can give the list of all the services which we are providing. So whatever a human is doing, that should be done by a digital contact center until unless it's very complex in nature.
Yeah.
So these 2 are the technology which I see emerging in coming days. While a lot of voice bot solutions are there, but still that lingual or the vernacular is something which should be cracked.
Sure. Fair enough. Makes a complete sense and very realistic also, right? The examples that you spoke, you take those examples to 1,000 people or 5,000 people, all of them will agree कि यार ये तो बहुत ही बेसिक है, ये तो होना ही चाहिए, और ये it's sad to hear कि अभी तक नहीं है. अगर है भी तो there are some very key, what do you call, very innovative companies or companies who really want to, or companies with a very good tech-oriented leaders, they have been able to do this as well. And there are a couple of platforms that provide this capability as well. And depending on those capabilities getting sold from a platform perspective at the right organizations, some of the organizations do it, but very sad that very limited number of organizations exist as of today. Very, very limited. Coming to you, Janita, what do you think are the 2 topmost emerging technologies that will shape up the future according to you?
Right. So I mean, a lot of the points segues into the answer that I'm going to give, right? So let it be Anamika talking about in a collections process, how using bad language does impact the whole experience, from Varun talking about predictive analytics, like when is this person going to come back to Cashify? And to what Shashi said about, being available for different demographics in the channel they prefer, right? So, like you really said, the platform approach, right? That's what we do at Unicore. I'm actually quite happy that these are the problems that CX leaders are talking about, which we are able to solve now, right? So let me a few things that I trust and believe that AI and ML can change. These are the emerging technologies which can change how we look at these problems. But the problem that I also see is how businesses need to apply, right? So when we speak about
So let me stop you over there. If we keep AI and ML here, is there? So that's one of your stuff. Is there any other technology that you have in mind? Is that above, below?
There are a lot of things which branch into the whole.
So AI ML is your key. Okay,
key, right?
Let's do a small survey, right? What do you guys think about AI ML in terms of the importance of using AI ML? Or let's do this, right? We spoke about how many organizations in past do not have a strategy. Let's do a similar way. How many organizations do not use AI ML the way they should be using it, right? I mean, some of the organizations really need to be dependent on AI ML because of the nature of the business. I mean, for those organizations, the answer should be yes, you should be using it to every single thing you do. But let's do average stuff, right? Not everyone needs AI ML to that extent. Some of them may be using it. Like, for example, I'll give an example. In Indonesia, everyone has 2 phones because their career, if you make a call from one phone carrier device to another, it's a huge cost. So they like, मैं एक career 1 का भी phone कर रहा हूँ, एक 2 second का भी रखूँगा, इससे बात करनी है, इससे phone करूँगा, इससे बात करनी है, whatever. And if you are making a collection calls to Indonesian customer, the system should be able to identify which number to call if you have more than one number in stuff, right? Or what time to call a customer, because in past he picked up this phone call in the evening hours or Sunday or Monday or things like that, right? So in Indonesia, before making that collections outbound call or any outbound call, AI ML would make sense from a number perspective. In India, it may not make sense because people have a habit of using one phone, right? Which means that example I'm trying to give is not everyone needs AI ML to that extent कि सबको 10 फीचर ही AI ML के रखने हैं. किसी को 2 चाहिए, किसी को 10 चाहिए, किसी को 5 चाहिए, किसी को 50 भी चाहिए, depending on the nature of business. But whatever that accurate number is for an organization, are they hitting that number? Are they using it to that potential? Out of 10, how much would you score? How many companies do not use AI ML the way they should be using it? Out of 10, how many companies are not using it?
My answer would be slightly different to what you just asked. So Durgesh, I think that out of 10 organizations, 9 of them don't understand the use cases of AI ML.
Perfect.
Right? They know there's a new buzz about AI ML. It's again the new fad, or let's say the most abused technological term that is being talked about these days. But even at a strategic level, they don't understand that do I need or don't I need the right thing that you just mentioned. But having said that, I think because the ecosystem that we are living in right now, 10 out of 10 organizations are trying to be digital in some way or the other. So the moment you say digital, AI ML comes into picture because that will be doing some kind of analytics. They will be giving you some kind of prediction, not just usage of 2 phones, but even if I have to do an outbound call, it will still give me some kind of prediction that which is the most convenient time for customer A versus B versus C. So that it resolves most of my calling problems, right? So every organization would need AI ML, but they need to understand that what exactly are their use cases. So we cannot even debate that how many are using. They don't know. They don't know.
I like the fact. I like the fact how you twist my survey question every single time, and I end up thinking, shit, I asked the wrong question. I should have been asking this question. No, it's good. Let's go to you, Saurabh. How many organizations do not understand AI ML? If that's the question.
I would say 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. What's your answer, Nikhil?
I think 6, but a lot of companies have started to explore in that particular direction, and in the coming years, I think those numbers are definitely
okay. How about you, Varun?
I think 3 to 4. People have, they're going into this and they know कैसे करना है, क्या करना है.
So 3 to 4 companies do not understand it. 6, 7 companies understand. At least understanding is there. They may be using it, may not be using it, but understanding. Okay. How about you, Shashi?
As a consumer, if I see 9 out of 10,
9
but I they use it.
Acha, now 9 use it.
As a consumer, what I've experienced, they use it.
Okay.
But I completely agree with the point Anamika which made. It is about the use case and implementation. Many a time, as a consumer, I've come across the cases where I'm unable to move forward. The bot is not allowing me to move forward and not resolving my query. And there is no option available to speak to somebody.
Yeah.
So that is the problem. I have uninstalled some of the brands' mobile application also as a consumer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, makes sense. कभी-कभी तो I think I have to go and Google कि ये brand के साथ interact करने में कौन से menu option में मुझे बता दो directly customer care से बात हो
No,
जाएगी.
you know what? We discuss so much about what to do, how to do, right? We should also be discussing what not to do because they also become a very big use case for us to decide as strategic leaders that this is exactly what I don't want to do because it creates a very negative impact in the customer's mind.
Yeah.
So let's say we are doing this in Gurgaon, right? So we are coming up with a lot of smart cities which are much more planned. And Gurgaon, although it's an industrial city and it has a very different cohort of people who are living over here, but it has emerged as one of the case studies in one of the, in most of the B schools where they tell you how not to plan a city.
Yeah.
So this is a classic example because there are a lot of challenges for the people who are staying in Gurgaon. This is a classic example of planning, right?
Yep.
What not to plan and how to plan. So rather than saying that these are the 10 things that I'll do for the city when I'm trying to plan a smart city, these are the 15 things which I should be omitting when I'm trying to plan that. So similarly, I have lots of examples when we come to that stage today. If I can share what not to do, because as an end user, I think I'm using more than 50 brands on a daily basis during my day-to-day activities, and we all come across these kind of experiences. If I have to ask all of here people who are there in this platform that can you name, let's say, top 5 brands with whom you would want to reckon with and you would want to experience them over and over again, most of us would face a challenge, even to name 5 of them. But we are interacting with, let's say, 15 service providers or 50 service providers. Why is it so difficult for us to recall even 5?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That means remaining 45, they're just doing services, the lip service, they're not creating an experience. That's the reason.
Yeah. I just to that point, right? I was in US and I was giving an interview somewhere after my masters or during my masters, applying for a job, and I was telling this particular company, a big brand in customer service contact center space. I'm like, I have an experience in India of doing this big thing in customer experience space and all that stuff. And this company asked me one simple question. So which brand do you think perfectly fits or is making use of Omni-channel strategy and you like it and you understand that? I'm like, none. It's like, come on, man, you are rejected. And they rejected me for that because they did not like the answer. But I really could not recall a single brand because I was interacting with prospects day in and day out across the globe and my partners as well. All of them were good at one channel, but when it came to an omni-channel perspective, 10 years ago, I could not recall a brand. And even today, if you ask me tell me like 5 brands, I will definitely not be able to say 5 brands.
That is the exact.
Today I might just say, okay, 1 brand, 2 brand, maybe that's, so we have reached from 0 to 2. But I think from an emerging technology perspective of the future, Shashi and Janita, how long will it take for me to claim that it took me 10 years from 0 to 2, but from 2 to 5, coming to Anamika's expectation, how much more will it take? The way technology is progressing, it's a different thing that we are seeing right now as compared to the way technology was progressing 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So I'm assuming 0 to 2 took a lot of time for someone like me, but 2 to 5 should not take a lot of time. What do you think?
Not, right? Especially with this whole buzz and generative AI. Again, like as consumers, we do not see the application of AI and ML in a lot of things. Like take your Netflix, for example, right? So all of us use a lot of OTT platforms, but Netflix uses ML to give you the right recommendations, right? Like say I have watched 3 movies with like strong women characters. It recommends me movies with strong women character or like, this is your... So when I sit to watch a movie, I do have subscriptions with other OTT platforms, but I know Netflix knows what I want, so I'd
Yeah.
rather go on that than, because decision making is a problem right now for most of us,
Yeah.
right? So you go on that, and it's a classic case of using ML really, really well. Take your
And
app.
Omni-channel also, whether you're
Right.
using it through mobile app or television
It's the
or
same
laptop,
experience.
wherever you left it, it will start from the same point, irrespective of the platform. So you don't have to think, okay, what was I watching and where did I have to resume it
Right.
So classic example of
Yeah.
Same, take your Amazon for example, right? Like they use ML really, really well for recommendations, where you bought something, where you've left off. If you had bought this, hey, it's been a month since you bought this, you need a repurchase.
So what's the reason why it's not happening today? Because when I hear AI ML, and Shashi's answer was data, customer data will be important in future. So he thinks data is a problem today that needs to get fixed. And you're talking about AI ML. So if we look at if we look at both the answers together, why is AI ML the problem today if the data is there? Or if the data is if the data is already there, why is AI ML the problem today? Because you already have the data, you go ahead and implement your AI ML. The industry should have progressed there. So what do you think, you both of you, right? I'll just keep turning around that same topic. What do you think, Shashi, is missing in the industry that one of you is speaking about data is the problem today that will get solved, and second one is talking about AI ML? What do you think?
So yes, data is still not available completely. That's there across all the different brands we can talk about. Some have embarked the journey of digital content and data availability, but at the same time, there are organizations who are still struggling to get the right data set. While the abundance of data is available, so a lot of data is available. However, at the same time, it is not available to use it. So that is the challenge which we foresee currently. However, at the same time, the organizations those who have implemented AI ML, they have done it very well. We have taken the example of Netflix, the kind of recommendation which they give. But at the same time, being local is also important. If I'm watching a particular type of movie from a particular geography, I should get the similar kind of recommendations.
Yeah, just an example, the right usage of data. I'll give an example. Yesterday, I was traveling from Bombay to Delhi, and I got a ticket of this new Akasa airline. And I'm not very regular traveler, so for me it was like a new name. I anyways go by the price or whatever. The moment my flight landed in Delhi, I got an SMS from them saying, you have to go to counter number 6 to collect your bag.
Yes.
I'm like, I don't have a bag. You should be knowing about this. I did not do any check-in. I was just carrying my laptop bag. You already have that data.
Yeah.
I did not need that notification. 10 minutes later, I was thinking, why did Indigo not send me this message when I was moving from Delhi to Bombay 1 day ago? And then 10 minutes later, I was thinking, did Indigo not send it to me and send it to people who needed to go to this line number 6 to collect their bags, or they did not send it to anyone? Right? So all these questions came in, and I was like, I don't know what's going on, but this is not a good experience. So what Indigo gave me as an experience by not sending me is still a question mark, because maybe they did the good thing by not sending me, or maybe they have not matured enough and they did not send it to everyone, and hence I'm feeling happy, right? So next time if I travel from Indigo and I have like check-in baggages with me and all that stuff, and they don't send me the line number that I need to go and collect the baggage, maybe today I might be just giving extra brownie points to the brand, and day after tomorrow when I start doing that, I might just reduce the number because I don't know how they are using it, right? So let's take Indigo and Akasa Airlines as an example. How do you think AI/ML, because now the data is there, they already know there is a lot of data, as she said. The right data and using the right data is not there. What would be your recommendation to airline companies for the baggage related example. Let's start with that and then we'll continue
Sure.
building.
So customer segmentation, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the core things that AI can do really easily for you, especially when you have an abundance of data in the example that you said. So clearly they have not segmented the customers, or they do not care enough to segment the customers into who's checked in and who's not. So if they had used AI effectively to do this, they would have, in case you didn't check in, you wouldn't have gotten an intrusive notification. For the people who checked in, they would have gotten a notification. And like Sashi said about, there are certain people who want to call on the phone,
Yeah.
and there are certain people who do not want to, like a millennial would not want to. So even if he has to implement a voice bot at Lal Path Labs, 65 plus person calls, right? Like classic case of most of our parents, they do call, they are tech savvy, they have smartphones. The minute the IVR comes, they are put off, right?
Yeah.
So, but with intelligent voice bots, you can say connect me to an agent, and if it connects to an agent, then the voice bot system is working for you.
Yeah.
Instead of, if I'm a 30 plus person and I'm speaking to the voice bot and I answer one, instead of doing a DTP press, I say I want to know which is the nearest location, I'm at this pin code. Answers, and then the problem is solved, right?
Yeah.
So it is mostly about data, like most of us rightly said, it is available in abundance, and most organizations are thinking of how to encrypt them, how to respect the customer's privacy, but they do not know how to apply AI and ML where it matters. In
Is that a human
specific
problem
cases.
or is that a
It
technology
is-
platform
It
problem?
is a human problem.
It's a human
Definitely
problem.
not a technology.
Sure. So if it is a human problem, how do you see that getting solved? That as a human, as an organization, I understand how to leverage the abundance data that I have. Can a human solve the problem in future, or generative AI can play a role to solve that problem in telling the organization, boss, what are you doing? Let me as a AI do it, suggest you, recommend you, and give you at least the recommendations, because you as a human are not able to find
See,
how
that-
to make use of
that
data.
is there now, right? Like if, even what Varun said, agent speaking to somebody, you use the right technology. For example, Unicore has something called Agent Assist, U-Assist, right?
Yeah.
So it sits on top of your contact center platform, say Exotel, okay? So it's listening to both sides of the conversation of what me as a customer is talking and what the person at Cashify is talking, and it suggests exactly for, this is what you say, this is what
Yeah.
you say.
Yeah.
But it's the humans who need to make sure that, hey, this is the customer experience that I want to use, and let me leverage the technology and let me look out for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Makes
it's
sense.
that, right? Like predictive analytics, who's gonna buy? And like
Yeah.
Anamika said, this agent assist would really help in especially in collections, because the collection agents are made to think that, hey, if you collect this amount of money, you are a success. So they use bad language, they use whatever means it takes at
Yeah.
the end of the day to collect the money. But as a brand, is it going to impact the customer experience? Definitely. And like she said, right, a person has been a customer for 5 years, they've always paid. There's 1 month, there's a financial crunch. Do you immediately put them into a defaulter bucket? No. When you have AI and ML working in the right way, you analyze all the conversations, you map the journey thoroughly, you know this is the first time it is defaulting. You find out what happened. You
Sure.
use an agent to speak to them. You use empathy. That's where it is completely at the, this is what
Yeah.
I'd like to conclude with, right? AI can never replace human beings, but human beings who use AI smartly can replace the other human beings.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, agreed. Absolutely. Shashi, coming to you from your industry perspective, right? The healthcare industry that your company is into. Tell us some AI ML use cases. If I want to go ahead and book my lab test, yearly lab test, how can I use it? And let's say as a customer, if I've been booking continuously with Dr. Path Labs and you already have the data, I may not want to come to you and understand, but I can leverage some AI ML at my own end, use on Dr. Path Labs website As an organization, what does it mean to you? As a consumer interacting with your brand, what does it mean to you from a use case perspective? Just give us those 2-3 use cases and we'll conclude that topic, this particular topic.
So one is the appointment booking. We are doing it currently. What we do on basis the customer profile and the past history, we give a recommendation to you.
Yeah.
That this is what the test you should go for. One is doctor driven, where the prescription is there. Doctor has written the prescription and you should go by those tests. The second is the combination of these 2-3 tests. This is what the best package which can be provided. At maybe a lower cost or the same cost, with some additional test which may give you more details about your overall health condition, you can go ahead with that. That's one there. The second is the appointment scheduling. I can give you the information that this is the slot which is available because my entire data is collected and I know where the flebo is. And right away, within the 30 minutes, you can book the slot and the person will come to your house. That's the D2C which we are currently driving. Then the third point comes when somebody is interacting with me. There are various channels, we talked about omni-channels. But at the same time, for me, if a customer is moving from one channel to another channel, I see it as a problem statement.
Yeah.
If somebody who used to call me and currently has written an email, if somebody is writing an email, that's a complaint. In most of the cases, they want to express the entire thing which they were unable to do it on a voice call or maybe unable to do it on a chat bot. And that's the reason they have written a lengthy email. So that is the concern for me. At the same time, I also want to understand whether this customer is a repeat customer or not. And that is the reason this omni-channel experience which we are talking about is playing a very important role. So we are able to identify the person, we are able to provide the resolution accordingly. At the same time, I'm also giving the recommendation to a customer. So ROI is also there. At the same time, experience is also there.
Yeah.
So we were talking about the sales earlier.
Yeah.
And so sales is like a relationship where you are talking about the experience and the product or the service package which you have.
Yeah.
When that experience is there, 50% is better already won. And then you have right product or right service packages. That's how the entire thing works. So for me, that ROI part and the service experience part, that's how we work on.
Sure. Fair enough. Makes a complete sense. I think that journey that customer has gone through has always been broken unless some drastic thing happens that the problem gets solved for one company, one industry, everyone. I hope 10 years in the future, we still don't talk about customer journey is broken. I hope that gets fixed at some point of time, much before 10 years, but 10 years, we don't talk about this industry still has a problem. No, it should not be a problem. We should be talking about a bigger and better problems, right? So I think let's do this last stuff because we are also running out of time. Let's provide, I'll open the floor for one pointer that you can provide to anyone else from an innovation standpoint in terms of, like just an example, Nikhil's represents Physics Wala, and he spoke. His problem was YouTube comments, which are huge in number, and that's his customer turn off parameter or turn on, turn off parameter, depending on the right comments, questions, answering those questions at the right time. Not question is written on Monday and you answer on Friday. Doesn't work that way, right? So that's one of the problem. Maybe any one of you, as an example, I'm saying, can suggest an innovative approach for him to solve this particular problem. Or let's say not having the right strategies, or the famous IIT hiring problem to get your leadership into that one vision. How can tech or operations or leadership solve that problem? I think let's do that interactive stuff and then we'll conclude from a time perspective. And I'll let you choose anyone that comes to your mind, but just don't give your suggestion, innovations/suggestion for a company. Just take that industry into consideration and then give it, because otherwise it will become like, यार ये तो हम already करते हैं, ये मुझे क्यों suggestion कर रहा है, ये मेरी company में already होता है. So just keep that industry into consideration. It may not be applicable, right? So when we speak about YouTube comments, let's not mention Physics Wala, but let's mention EdTech as an industry, and then give our suggestion, right? And I'll keep it on a volunteer basis. Whoever wants to go in whatever order, you guys decide depending on what you think you learn as a problem and how you wish to solve it, and your suggestion for that particular person slash industry, keeping the company outside, right? So who would want to go first?
I think I can give a give a suggestion around this. So similar problem we are also facing, right? Because we have a good social media presence. Let's talking about YouTube. Let's talk social media in general, where a lot of comments, a lot of different posts are being posted by the customers, right? So what we have done, all this data, this is nothing but data, right? This is being driven into a system through the CDP which I talked about. And since we know that this particular customer has written such a comment, we can do analysis, or we can create some sort of a what should I say, cloud word, where we know what is the sentiment around it.
Yes.
We can categorize it. Basis the categorization, you can use your bots, you can use your AI to give a solution, and that solution can be posted by the machine directly, by the system directly. Definitely there will be certain cases where a human has to get down and has to reply. So those cases can be taken out separately and this can be passed on to the humans. So this is something is doable when we are doing it right now.
Sure.
So we have also initiated such a similar thing of sentiment analysis.
Yes.
And we are trying to identify a broader level of keywords.
Yes.
Because those tagging around each sentiment is one of the most important thing. If you get the
And so that
tagging
you can
right.
easily categorize through automation and through human.
Yes. So that is
Perfect.
very helpful, and we definitely try to.
Perfect. I think this is the best part of the entire discussion for me, that I get to hear what's the perception, what do you think is the most important problem that you felt in this entire discussion, and I can just sit quietly and listen to all of you, and yeah. All right, who wants to go next?
I wanted to add a point about having the same vision across different leaders.
Okay.
So it is important, I think, first of all, in most of the organizations, I believe there is a hierarchical system where we follow a vertical leadership. What we usually try to do, because I've run a startup before my company got acquired by Physics Wala. So what we used to do is that we used to have a very horizontal leadership. Every leader is approachable to, even from the top person to the bottom person. And I think this had really helped even in my previous organizations and in the organizations that are currently working, that the leaders are very approachable. And when those individuals have the feeling that they can anytime connect to that particular leader and they can get that vision directly from them, so I think that really contributes in translating the vision from the leader's perspective right to the bottom of the hierarchy.
Yeah.
So I think this is something that most of the organizations can follow, is having a horizontal leadership where everyone is approachable to everyone. But yeah, while maintaining certain discrepancies, that only I can hear certain problems, but the decision making should of course flow in a horizontal in a vertical manner.
Yeah. So my thoughts around that leadership, right? I feel that, and this is completely personal, right? I mean, although I completely agree with you that the leadership structures needs a change, for sure, for the betterment of company, organization, industry, the world. But I feel it's impossible to change it. The bigger the company becomes, you tend to enjoy that I'm on top, you are at bottom, and he's at the lowest level, and things like that. When I was working in 200 people company, I could approach anyone and everyone. Today I work in 3.5 lakh people company. Tomorrow, when I get an opportunity to work at 10 lakh people company, the way the company structures will be very, very different. Even if the same people is running, even if the same person or the same team is running the same companies, right? They will all want to set the processes in place, and things will be very, very different, right? So my suggestion is, you cannot change the structure of leadership, but you can definitely change the culture. Yeah, you can definitely change the culture. Today, a lot of things, as I said, right? If a particular statement is made by person X, तो तालियां बजेंगी, person Y बोलेगा तो गालियां बजेंगी. That is because of his designation. That should not happen.
Yes.
There should be more of a data-driven culture where you keep anonymous in terms of who is saying what. You keep the ideas on the table. Let people vote. Every decision that a company should make should be data driven, and leadership will become transparent in that case, or non-visible in that case. You will not even realize that this particular decision is coming in from whom, because you don't know. A normal 6-month-old associate in a 10 lakh employee organization would step in, give a suggestion, that suggestion would show up on the board, people will come in, give that voting or liking for that particular suggestion, and that is what should become the company's motivation for next 6 months or 1 year, depending on what that forum is what I feel it, because you cannot change that leadership structure. I mean, I end up wishing I will have an organization one day where I will have a horizontal leadership, but I know with time it will just get transformed into something else automatically without me realizing it. But the most important point that I heard is from coming in from a tech perspective, doing that sentiment analysis and then prediction and things like that. One coming in from a non-tech perspective about leadership, and that's a important diversity to have from a betterment, right? Who wants to volunteer next? Okay, the floor is open. Else I'll take a parchi and open that data-driven stuff. All right, so let's do this, right? Let's take one key takeaway from all of you in one line, whatever that key takeaway is, whatever new that you learned that you wish to go back and do it in your organization. And this is personal to your organization, that you are not doing it today or your organization is not doing it today. You may not have an authority, but you still can influence your organizations and leaders. We'll start with you, Saurabh. Your key takeaway in one line.
So my one takeaway comes from your one example. You mentioned that Kia Seltos calls customer before the actual NPS call. So I understand like there can be data discrepancy or whatever they want to show they can do at that stage. But I was thinking about it, how to fix that problem as well. So what I feel, giving the necessary empowerment to the agent who is calling the customer and understand issue. You mentioned that the person is asking ki kya galat hua, right? Tell me about that. 8 ka 10 kyun nahi diya? So give the necessary empowerment to resolve that particular issue then and there. That's how we can truly change the perception about the organization, and that's the key takeaway for me. Even like if we at Cast24, we don't do this kind of call, we directly take the NPS calling. Even if we think about doing this type of calls, then we'll do it in this way. We should do it in this way, that empower the agents and give them ability to resolve it then and there.
Yeah. I hope none of you are thinking that हम भी कर लेते हैं, actual survey call से पहले call कर लेते हैं, it will be good enough.
That will not be feasible.
नहीं,
This
that
can be possible only at a dealership level, where they
Yeah.
have limited number of vehicles coming in for the service.
Yeah.
So they have their dedicated representative
Makes
who can
sense.
just call.
You can't make 1,000 calls.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
ROI will be very poor.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, fair enough. Your key takeaway for this
So
is
I think I'll try to work on a revised decision tree when it comes to IVR voice, because I think most of the industry has been working towards segmenting the customer, profiling the customer basis their business that they're giving to the organization. So HNI, non-HNI, so silver, platinum, gold, diamond, these kind of segmentation, all purely because of the revenue that they are trying to get from that customer. So far, I haven't heard about the demographic bias coming in, like a 65-year-old customer not being very comfortable speaking to the automated voice, or let's say chatting on a bot, or some things like so. I think we need to delve deeper into customer profiling when we talk about the IVR, because I have a classic example that I think most of us would have experienced. It's one of the largest non-PSU banks, right? If you try to connect through their customer service, you will just end up into IVR and their different workflows. You'll never end up getting into a human voice. So you just give up. You say, okay, I don't want to interact with this bank at all. It's the largest non-PSU bank, right? And for anything and everything, they still have that bank branching process, branch process, right? That you go to the branch, deposit the form, and so that is very, very non-customer centric. So I literally don't want to run any kind of processes which is so non-customer centric, and because we have to serve a huge segment of tier 3, tier 4. So they have a very different intellect. Even if they get the best possible IVR and a bot system, they'll refrain from using because they want a human interaction. And I have to create that kind of journey which actually helps them smoothen the process, because I don't want to create an issue for the customer and then he starts calling me, writing me to understand that ye kya matlab hai? Why are you not giving me a human voice? So, to navigate through that journey, I think that is my biggest takeaway. And creating something what we all have been knowing Amex for quite some time. So we all deliberately call up Amex just to speak. I personally do that. Despite having that bot and email option, I don't resort to that. Although they're very user friendly, but I deliberately call up Amex just to get that experience. They don't waive off my membership fee. That's upfront, But the kind of experience that they create over the call, I feel privileged to be using Amex as a card. And something like very small. We all go for coffees, right? Coffee and chit chat over a coffee. So if you go to Starbucks, they have your history, they have the data, like we've been talking about data, right? How smartly do we use data? Very small thing, but it creates a long-lasting effect in your mind. So when I went to Starbucks last for meeting a friend, they must have seen my usage, and they just, when I was trying to buy something, they said that, okay, I see that you are a valuable customer, shall we upgrade you to, I don't know, what, a platinum or a gold, I don't even remember. I asked that, is there a membership fee? They said no. So basis my usage, they just decided to upgrade. I said, what benefits do I get? They said that you will get unlimited refills. Wow. So that's a very small but long-lasting experience. So far that I'm sharing this in this podium, So like I just mentioned, that do you remember any 5 brands which you can actually recommend or you can talk about in forums like these? They would be very limited. But if you have to talk about negative experiences or you'll have plethora. I went to here and this and that. So I think the takeaway from this platform is that how or what are the ways that we need to work on additionally as far as strategy is concerned, which can add value, because most of us are using WhatsApp and chat and bot, and we don't use AI/ML. We have to still reach to that stage. But IVR is very commonly used by every organization. But are we thinking aloud? I don't think so that our organization, we thought about these things which Shashi just mentioned. Right? But having this kind of customer segment, it is imperative for us to think now. I really thank Janita and Shashi for bringing out this.
Yeah, Karen. How about you, Nikhil? What is your key takeaway?
First of all, to get into more technical aspects of, because I had content in. So for me, how can, like Varun mentioned, how I can use more automations and more AI-driven models to help, do better experiences of our students.
That's your key takeaway. Fair enough. Yeah. How about you, Varun?
For me, it's more towards the usage of conversational and generational AI. Because eventually we won't be replacing, like Janita mentioned, right? You can't replace human, but with the correct usage of AI, humans can replace humans, right? So that's where we need to, I think, focus more over there.
Get it. How about you, Shashi?
I think a very important point for me is about the empowerment to CCE, which means a lot of technology for the associates. While we are bringing a lot of tech for the customer side, but at the same time, what are we doing for the associates? Is it limited to a knowledge management portal? It should not be. A lot of insight should also come from the associate. And Janita mentioned about the technology which they are driving about. So that's a very important key point for me.
Yeah. Fair enough. How about you, Jennifer?
So my biggest takeaway is I'm really glad that organizations are thinking, right? Like a lot of you mentioned about how are my agents doing this and things like that. So if you give exceptional employee experiences, it leads to exceptional customer experiences.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. If you're thinking about how you're making an agent's life easier, you're giving him prompts, he's not going to concentrate on anything. He's going to give his full energy into solving that customer's query, and that's all we want at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So my biggest takeaway is, although the tech is there, different industries, like what Unifor can do for Cashify, they cannot do for Physics Wala.
Yeah.
So we need to get into the use cases like with CX leaders like yourself. I need to go to Sashi with Sashi. This is what we can do for you. This is where we can help you give a better customer experience. Same thing for Nikhil, same thing for Anamika, same things for Saurabh, right? And that's my biggest takeaway is it's there, technology is there, the adaptability to tech is there, but how and when and where is what we need to fix.
Yeah, the way you spoke and Shashi spoke about employee stuff, right? There's a story about this book that I read from HCL CEO probably 15 years ago. The name of the book is Employee First, Customer Second. And Vineet Nair is the name of the CEO who was heading HCL that time. Right now he is out of CEO doing something of his own. And that book had an experience that Vineet Nair had just joined the company HCL. It was one of the very big projects that had not worked, that had failed. And Vineet Nair, customer was in HCL's premise. Everyone had gathered in a seminar hall or somewhere. And Vineet Nair was just walking in that room, and he had a couple of other leaders along with him while he was walking in. And it's a bad scenario. He just got in, and this client started talking directly to the CEO in front of everyone, saying it is your problem. You did not give everything to the employees when they needed it, and things like that. No, actually, this is 15 years old, right? Sorry. It was a good scenario. Vineet Nair was walking in. He was recently appointed as a CEO, and client did not even look at Vineet Nair with an intention how you should be looking at a CEO or importance you should be giving to a CEO of a partner company that has helped you to an extent. He just spoke to the employees and started praising employees, employee number 1, employee number 2, employee number 3, and everything like this. And this happened 6 months down the line, same client, same CEO, but the situation now was negative, and Vineet Nair was walking in this time after 6 months, and now things had not worked out, and Vineet Nair was looking at the other leaders who were walking along with him and was saying, well, this client likes to talk with employees only, so my employees will take care of it. How to handle that situation? I anyways have come very recently on board, 6 months old, 7 months old, and that's all my tenure is. I'm sure my leader sitting in the room, my employees will take care of it. He walked inside the room. This time the client did not even look at employees. This time he started talking only and only to CEO and told him that it is your problem, that it's the same set of people who helped me 6 months ago, went above and beyond to help me. Now it's the same set of people. If they have not been able to deliver this time, it may be because you did not care enough to look at, to talk to them and ask कि क्या problem हो रही है, कुछ problem है तो मुझे बता दो. They may have highlighted the problems. You would have said ये कोई इतनी बड़ी important problem नहीं है, just kept it under the carpet and thought you have a bigger problem to solve, or you have to bigger problem to entertain your client coming into your premise, or acquire new clientele and focus on that strategy rather than looking at your employees and seeing what problems they are facing. And that's the reason why he changed this entire culture at HCL. He started focusing on employees. That's the reason why he ended up writing a book on employee first, customer second, and said, and his biggest message was, you take care of your employees with a blind freedom and a perception that they will automatically take care of your customers if you have taken care of them, right? So from a customer service world, for me, I think we have been talking for 1.5 hours approximately, much over time. But my biggest takeaway came in from the last statement that that you guys brought in, which is take care of technologies like Agent Assist that gives give your agents enough information on how to talk with customer. Because if you take that as your biggest key takeaway, a lot of other things get associated with it. How Anamika spoke about human-to-human interaction and not a machine-to-human interaction, that will enhance automatically if companies start thinking of taking care of the employees, right? So for me, that was the biggest and most important learning in which ways. When you also talk about AI, someone reviewing your AI's work before you speak to the customer also becomes an advantage around it, right? And all this data that you have, the insights that you generate, you exposing it to a customer directly or exposing it to your agent for agent to review it and then strategically select and speak to the customer makes a lot of sense, right? So yeah, on that note, we will conclude today's session on discussion around ROI, discussion around Omni-channel, and it turned into strategy, which I did not expect it. Strategy and leadership could play a very important role, and hearing all the insights that came in from different people, different industries, I think that was fascinating as well for me. The tech being there, not being there, the data, a lot of data being there, but people don't know how to make use of data, versus how AI ML can play a very big role in future, so that companies or industries that are not even using AI ML today, it's okay today, but 5 years down the line, AI ML doesn't become a thing. It becomes like ye to normal hai, like that. So I think it was fun conversation for me, and I'm sure you can feel it because I ended up stretching from 1 hour to 1.5 hours. I hope it was fun conversation for you as well, and you picked up whatever you wanted to pick up in terms of learning, in terms of networking in future among yourself, to identify the right use cases for your company, for your personal self, for your industry, and whatever collaboration that you can do. Thank you so much. And on that note, we will end the session for today with a hope that we have been able to add value to ourselves personally in our thought process, to hopefully that will translate to our organizations and to our industries as well. And hopefully people who will view us online in future will also get something, even if they are not from this industry, they will still get something, some key takeaways for them to do something about it in their companies. Thank you so much.